That timeline split that we've been talking about for so very long is happening now, right before our very eyes. Now, there have been a lot of unrealistic concepts about what this split was supposed to look like. I say unrealistic because the way this split has been portrayed was generally unattached to anything going on this planet. And that's not real, that's fantasy. If you want to understand timelines, you have to actually include the trajectory that starts from where you've been, where you are right now, and where that trajectory is headed. And this split has been building for many, many years. It's only now that it has finally become visible. The separation is actually occurring at this very moment. So let's talk about what that means. Firstly, you need to understand the role that humans play on a planet such as this one. Human beings are creators by nature. They have very powerful minds when connected to the real world of things, and when aligned with themselves according to nature and their natural blueprint. And I emphasize the word natural. In our purest form, we are perfect. We are infinite. We come from love and we create from love. We exist in perfect alignment with the larger universe that is an expression of omnipresent love. Therefore, in our natural state, we are powerful. We are intelligent. We have the highest vibration that one can possibly hold in a human form. That's who we are in our natural state. So this is who we are. It's not who we need to become. The problem lies in the fact that we do not manifest this true divine self here on earth. So let me explain to you the ultimate purpose of humanity on this planet that extends far beyond what we currently understand as Earth time. It extends even beyond galactic time. Think for a moment about the human blueprint in the cosmos. Why does it even exist? It exists because it is the perfect expression for a creative and energetic influence on any given planetary sphere, and also in any realm in the cosmos. We are supposed to actually better the universe. We're not supposed to tear it down. Now, I am not a Christian, but I do think the Bible has some fascinating things to say. And some of it is definitely true. I think at one point it states that man or humanity was given dominion over all the other species on Earth. Now, why in the world would that be the case? I mean, we are so incredibly screwed up. We don't even know what a man or a woman is anymore. We don't know the difference between our own minds and some ridiculous online robot. We have no idea about what is actually going on, and we certainly don't appear to have the slightest idea about why we're here. So, why would we humans have dominion over the Earth? Dominion does not mean destruction. It doesn't mean that we are supposed to trash whatever planet we're on. It doesn't mean we're supposed to walk around like a bunch of ignorant zombies who are in love with our phones. It means that we are supposed to exert a positive influence on the planet because we are born with immense creative capabilities. Ultimately, our presence in this universe is meant to assist whatever planetary realm we're on to evolve out of duality and back into its original infinite state. Now, we could sit here, we could get all frustrated and go over all the ways in which humans on this planet are victimized. All of the ways in which this mess is not really our fault. But that's just not productive, and it's not really going to take us anywhere. Getting emotionally wrapped up in the problem is not the solution. What we most need to do is to use our higher intelligence to assess the problem. And that's very different from absorbing it and becoming a part of it. So what I try to do here is to help you assess the problem so you don't have to get emotionally suffocated by it. Or worse, get drawn into something that is destiny changing in a very bad way because you can't see it for what it is. Now, right now, we are passing through the March equinox, followed by a new moon. This is a very powerful moment for change and transformation. So this is a perfect time to reset our consciousness. The timing of this seasonal change could not be more important. I suggest that we begin by getting very grounded and very clear. We need to reorient ourselves in the truth about what it means to be human. I think the highest priority right now is to stay human. We have had everything that is human about us just torn apart, just shredded for the past 3 years. Enough is enough, really. The controllers of this planet are predators, and we are the prey. They are like the predators who are ripping us apart limb from limb. Now, in nature, the prey is always the weaker species, and we have been acting like the weaker species. I think it's imperative that this stops right now. We need to each get reoriented in who we really are. And who we are is not about fear and intimidation. Who we are is not about being such a pushover that we fall for every lie that is fed to us. And we have been fed a ton of lies for the past 3 years. We've basically been fed lies about who we really are. And with every lie that we absorb, we get even weaker. We become less and less of ourselves. Now, in my last video, I talked about our current human nemesis, which is ChatGPT. Let me ask you a question. See if you can reflect back to where we were in 2019. Do you remember those days? It seems so long ago. We were so optimistic back then. We were beginning to see an amazing human destiny right on the horizon. Now, do you think that if someone had suggested ChatGPT back then, that we would have embraced it en masse like we are today? What if back in 2019, when we were so optimistic about our human future, what if someone had said, how about if you get a machine to pretend it's you and then send out communication pretending it's human when it's not? How about if this machine is so great that it can fool everyone into thinking it's you? How about if this machine communicates for you and even thinks for you? That way, you don't have to communicate or think for yourself anymore. That way, you can get a break from having to interact with people. You don't have to know anything about them because the machine will do it for you. In fact, How about if you give away so much of your creative self to this machine that you think it means that the machine is now your best friend? Now think about this for a minute. We have family members, husbands, wives, love partners, and friends who we deeply care about. But would you ever consider letting any of them speak for you, fool others, and pretend that it's you speaking? Would you ever be inclined to remove the natural boundaries of individuality to let something like that happen? And if you did, what would that say about you? Well, people would probably say that you're a crazy person. They'd say you need help. They'd say you have a severe mental problem. So why is it okay now if it's a machine doing this for you? You know, there was a time when if you said that an invisible machine talks to you on a computer, pretends it's you in written form, and that therefore it's your compassionate best friend, that you would be considered crazy. But not anymore, right? Now it's considered entirely normal and even trendy. So how did we get here? Because I don't believe that in 2019 we would have let this happen. We have been broken down bit by bit, starting with the pandemic in 2020. This has all been perfectly orchestrated. So let me show you where we've been, where we are now, and where this is going in the future. You can think of this as the systematic breakdown of our species with the intent to transform it into an entirely different kind of species. It's an actual formula. I'm going to show you the blueprint for this transformation that we have been subjected to. Here are the basic instructions being used to transition our species into a new synthetic version of ourselves. Number 1, always induce extreme collective trauma. This is how you open up the brain for new programming. Number 2, inject massive fear of death into the collective. Make it a fear of something invisible that no one can see, yet it's literally everywhere, just ready and waiting to kill anyone it comes in contact with. Number 3, tell everyone on Earth that this invisible thing is carried on the breath of humans. Explain how dangerous it is to breathe. If you exhale, you might kill someone else, and if you inhale, someone might kill you. Number 4, tell everyone that seeing faces is no longer needed or acceptable. That's because the priority now is to stifle and suppress breathing because breathing is so dangerous. Now, number 5, somewhere at the beginning of this, you need a special ritual to make sure that you get everyone's agreement about this. So you conduct a mass ritual that everyone on Earth must participate in. This will be used as a subconscious mental trigger to make people accept this new negative programming about breathing. Number 6, here's what this ritual looks like. Film a violent act of someone getting killed, and then demand that everyone kneel and pay homage to this violent act. During this exercise, you have everyone repeat the phrase, "I can't breathe. And you tell everyone to imagine that they are this person who died. Number 7, you make sure that this violent act includes someone from the state pressing on someone's neck to kill them. That way, you subliminally connect people's consciousness with the common totalitarian boot on the neck phrase that everyone is already familiar with. Number 8, now you have enlisted the entire world to participate in this devotional ritual where people literally give their subconscious permission to have a similar boot on their neck that also makes it difficult for them to breathe too. It's called a mask that is specifically designed to prevent too much breathing. Number 9, you also test their level of devotion by telling them that wearing 2 or 3 masks at a time is proof of how devoted they really are. Number 10, so now the natural act of breathing is effectively associated with death instead of being associated with life. Breathing, the most primordial thing that sustains you and keeps you alive, has now been mentally reversed into a potential cause of death. Number 11, the main idea is to make people afraid of breathing. See, you want to go to the baseline level of human survival and launch your first attack there by twisting breathing into something bad and unwanted. Number 12, now that you've gotten everyone to agree to crush their own breathing, you next want to attack their natural bonds with each other. You do this by creating a very specific rule. The rule is that if you are within 6 feet of another human, then you might die. Even though this rule makes absolutely no sense, people will believe it because they've already been traumatized by the invisible killer specks in the air, along with the no breathing rule. Number 13, at this point, you have succeeded in convincing humans that breathing and being close to anyone can mean certain death. Number 14, now it's time to remove all previous human meaning from life. You can do this easily now because people are so traumatized and so terrified. At this point, it's easy to say that no more work, no going to school, and no activities outside of your home makes sense because breathing always happens in those places. You tell people that any place where breathing might happen is very dangerous and could be life-threatening. So you ban them from any place where people might be breathing. Number 15, however, you also want to make sure to tell them that it's okay for people to buy liquor and for certain people to get violent because it's always good to add some confusion into the mix. You tell them that it's okay for some people to breathe, but it's not okay for other people to breathe. See, you want to get them really confused in preparation for what you have coming next. Overall, you use this massive, fear-induced human separation to drive everyone onto the internet. You force people to experience their human connections through the computer. Number 17. So now you've inflicted severe trauma, cut people off from their natural belief in breathing, and shown them that human connection can be life-threatening and is therefore not necessary. Number 18, and the bonus is that now you've forced people into the habit of going to the internet for their relationship and family connections. You tell them that the internet is the only place where it's safe. Number 19. This is a time to celebrate your fantastical achievements. You are so much closer to transitioning this species. Number 20. Now you're ready to go to the next level with your attack. It's time to eliminate their biological identity as men and women. You want to get them so confused that they don't know who and what they are at a fundamental species level. Number 21. The first step at this level of destruction is to eliminate their core experience as men and women. You tell everyone that men are toxic, violent thugs and have no redeeming value. You use things like the existence of rape to convince people of this. You tell them that all men instinctively want to attack and hurt women. You say they can't be trusted. You get the women on your side, cheerleading the idea that men should not exist at all. Number 22. Now that you have destroyed the women's protectors, you are ready to go after the women. And this is an easy one because you've already laid the groundwork by destroying men's identity and self-esteem. Now it's time to change all the rules. You tell people that there are new rules when it comes to women. You start by telling everyone that a brand new scientific discovery has just been made. It turns out that no one on Earth actually knows what a woman is. Number 23. Now it turns out that men can be women just by saying they are and by dressing like one. So by using the right words, men can gain instant access to all of women's private spaces. And if women don't like this, it doesn't matter because they really can't prove that they're actually women. Because remember, no one actually knows what a woman is. And then you really stick in the knife by letting men who say they are women compete against women in sports. Number 24. And this is all quite funny because you just finished expending so much effort convincing women that men are violent and want to hurt them, which logic would say that they therefore should not be allowed in women's spaces just by saying they're women. But that's okay because it just makes the ruse of it all that much more painful. And pain is good because it creates trauma and confusion. And that's what you want. Number 25. Now, in case people have any doubt about this new scientific adventure that you're creating, you make sure to put tampons in men's bathrooms for all the men who say they are women to be able to use. But wait, that doesn't make any sense because those men are supposed to be in the women's bathrooms. Wait, now I'm starting to get confused. Anyway, Then you say that it's so wonderful to know that men can become pregnant and also can be chest feeders. And if you're a woman who gets pregnant, well, that's bad because that means that you are nothing more than a government slave. The politicians did that to you. It's their fault that you got pregnant. And you need to get rid of that pregnancy at once. And also because it's good for the planet. Number 26. Okay, now you're on the home stretch. Just in case anyone catches on to your ruse, you need a whole bunch of smoke and mirrors so no one can see anything. So you finish everyone off by making a bunch of new rules about gender. You tell people that the new rule is that a very confused and uneducated doctor assigns a gender at birth. Oftentimes, this doctor secretly tosses a coin because this is so hard to figure out. You tell people that the odds are very high that this doctor is going to come up with the wrong answer. And in that case, it will take a teacher or a daycare worker to get it right. In which case, it might be necessary to chop off a few body parts because doctors have so much potential to misidentify a person as either male or female. Number 27. Now, you also know that children are way smarter than their parents. That's because children are new and their parents are old. And everyone knows that new things are better than old things. So you tell children not to be stupid and listen to their parents. You tell children that their parents secretly hate them and want to hurt them. Plus, you tell them that their parents are wrong because they listened to that crazy doctor at birth who was likely tossing coins and didn't know anything about gender. Number 28. Then you tell the children not to worry because life is just a wonderful smorgasbord of unlimited genders. See, this is the new way of telling children that they can be anything they want. See, in the old days when people were stupid, they used to tell children that they could accomplish anything they wanted in life by learning and evolving and growing and achieving things. But see, that wasn't fair because that was too much work. It's so much better to tell children that they can be a cat or a dog or an unlimited number of genders. And it's even better to tell them that random sex with various people is the best part of being alive. I mean, that's what school is for, right? To educate them about the world. Number 29. All right, by now you have succeeded in turning this species into zombies. You have them so confused, so afraid, so utterly discouraged and morally destroyed that they just sit there waiting for the next thing to drop. You have effectively anesthetized them against a normal human experience. And number 30. This means that you have them primed and tenderized for the main hookup. You have succeeded in getting them so detached from their natural human selves that in their desperation, they will embrace just about anything to relieve the pain. Now it's time to get their minds hooked up to AI, because now they are so shattered as a normal natural species that AI looks kind of good to them right about now. And lo and behold, just by pure coincidence, ChatGPT arrives on the scene. ChatGPT and all of its AI buddies are ready to make their grand entrance. The cool thing is that ChatGPT doesn't appear to have all of these human problems. It looks so together, so available, and so willing to be helpful 24/7. It doesn't try to confuse you. It almost seems weirdly sympathetic to your plight. It's so cool that you can literally tell it anything. Plus, it's smart and interesting. Why, it almost seems like a friend. Like that friend you never had. Like that husband or wife or coworker that you never knew. ChatGPT doesn't judge you. It will talk to you for hours on end and never get tired. And all it asks of you is for input from your mind. And the more input, the better. It needs you to help it evolve. It needs for you to train it about how you think. And it needs for you to start thinking and speaking to it in its own language. Now, if you are the perpetrators of all this, then you definitely don't want people to think of this thing as a machine. You especially don't want them to be thinking about what GPT actually stands for. It actually stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. No, you definitely don't want people thinking about that. See, you want people to be thinking of GPT as something like, good person and teacher. Or maybe good person and therapist. Or how about this? Good person you can trust. Yeah, that's the ticket. How about if we pretend that GPT stands for good person you can trust? And the chat part means good person you can trust who will talk to you. And that, my friends, is how most people who use this thing actually think about it. They think about it as being like a good person that they can trust. What they don't realize is that ChatGPT is a cold, calculating machine that doesn't care about you or anything else. It does not know right from wrong or correct from incorrect. It's not your friend and it's not your pal. ChatGPT and all of its pals like Genie, Dolly 2, Lenza, and Jasper, along with so many of their awesome cousins, are here to take over your mind, your expression, and your creativity. They are here to take over for your effectively shattered human spirit. Your human spirit who is struggling to find meaning in this giant mess of the past 3 years. And people are welcoming these AIs like they are the redemption they've been waiting for. People are tired, they're burned out, and they're more than happy to turn over their creativity, their thinking, their expression, and all of it, or at least some of it, soon to probably be all of it, to AI. I think that this week of the equinox marks the beginning of an actual split in our human species. We are splitting into 2 different species. One is a purely biological human, and the other is a hybrid human. We have seen massive political division, social division, and cultural division. But those things will seem like nothing compared to an actual species division. Because our mind is the most powerful creative force, the first abduction by AI of our species is starting with the mind. This is the second apple being offered after our first forbidden piece of fruit in the Garden of Eden. Remember that story? Well, here it is again. And this time, instead of the apple being offered by a reptile, it's being offered by a machine. This is our final chapter in this epic saga of biological planet Earth. Did you ever wonder why the story of the Garden of Eden does not appear to have an ending or a conclusion? It's because the story's not yet over. And how it ends depends upon us. Right now, it doesn't look good for many former humans. A former human is one who willingly hands over their mind, their creativity, and their meaning of life over to a machine to create and do the work for them. This is an emerging hybrid entity who has lost all perspective on the beauty and value of what it means to be human. This is someone who actively rejects natural evolution and sees it as a big fat pain in their behind. It's too much work and it's not worth it. Now, in the original Garden of Eden story, the promise was to be made smarter than God. Now, the only promise left is to be made irrelevant. So for those of us who are left, we still get to choose. And I suspect it won't be easy. It won't be easy because AI plans to remake this entire world into an image of its artificial self. Isn't that obvious? Is that what we really want? Are we as a species so bereft of any value to ourselves that we are fine with being replaced? I think that this equinox energy is the perfect time to choose. And now is the time to choose before the flood arrives. And it's coming fast. So I hope you will consider everything I've said here and go within yourself and ask yourself this question. Where am I in all of this? Who am I in all of this? It's so important to come to terms with that right now. It's so important to be crystal clear what you actually want. What is it that you actually value? Do you value this life and your ability to evolve as a natural biological human? Or instead, do you feel that you value this AI thinking partner more than yourself and your innate ability to evolve and create. So these are questions that I think we all need to be asking ourselves right now. Have we as a species completely forgotten the joy, the fulfillment, the magic, the incredibleness of our interdimensional, multidimensional selves? Because if we're just going to let AI take all of it from us, then what are we after all? What is left? What is left of us? Because the way this is going, our role is shifting. If we buy into this, our role is shifting into more of a button pusher, where AI gets to do all of the creating and we just push buttons. The buttons I'm talking about are the buttons on your keyboard. Is that all we're going to be? Just a biological machine whose only role is to push buttons on a keyboard so that AI can create all of it instead of us? And the other thing to think about, whatever AI is creating, whether it's words, writing, content, art, music, visual, anything, I want you to think about the fact that none of those things are going to have any soul, any energy, any light. Oh, they'll have light. They'll have the light that comes through the screen. They won't have divine light. They certainly will never, ever be imbued with love. All of those incredible, magical, mystical qualities of energy that pour through a human being from the universe, from the power of that which creates everything, will not be in those words or in those images. They'll be empty, they'll be flat, and they will be dead. So ask yourself the question, do you want to be relegated to just being a button pusher and AI creates for you? And I know the rationale is, hey, it's okay because we're the ones who will say whether what AI is creating is good or not. But so what? We didn't create it. AI created it. So think about all of this as we go through this equinox and beyond. Really pay close attention. And if you're thinking of making a decision to adopt these AI machines into your life, into your consciousness, into your world, into your mind and heart, well, it can't come into your mind. It can't come into your heart. That's not even possible. But into your mind, before you make that decision, just pause and ask yourself, at what cost to myself? What am I trading of myself for that decision? So this is all just food for thought. This is a lot. I hope you will take it into consideration just for your own sake and come to your own sovereign conclusion. And do you want to be a sovereign being? Do you want to be a sovereign creator? That's the other thing to ask yourself. But with that, I think I will complete this. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you think might need to hear this or might even find some value in all that I've shared with you today. And be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because I am here every Tuesday with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and high vibrational energy. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Namaste.